There's a new nonprofit organization that was created recently that's been drawing a whole lot more attention to Joe Biden's border bloodbath and all the bad that's coming from it around our country. The organization is called Border 911, headed up by one of my favorite people out there, former acting director of ICE, Tom Homan. And he has put together a great team of folks to head up this group, and our next guest is one of them. Former director of special operations over the DEA, now board member of Border 911, our good friend, Derek Maltz, back on the program. Derek, nice to see you, sir. Before we get to the latest in the invasion of America, let's talk about this group, because what you, Tom, Sarah, and the rest of these board members and team you all put together, amazing. And I love the messaging that you're doing, because I feel like a lot of Americans still don't know. I know that's hard to believe for you and I, Derek, right? Because I've been covering it for several years. You've worked it for your whole life, so you see it firsthand. You talk to your buddies, you know what's going down. But a lot of Americans still do not understand just how bad it truly is, Derek.
Right. So Tom Homan, CEO, formed this group, great American patriots who care about the country, who plan on going around the entire United States and educating people about the facts related to the border, the invasion, the fentanyl crisis, the sex trafficking, the human trafficking, because every American is impacted, Dan. Like I've said for several years, these issues are not red or blue. They're red, white, and blue. Yes. Everyone needs to care. Everyone needs to pay attention. And elections do have consequences because they have very different views. Each president has a different view about what should be done at the border. Right now, we have the largest invasion that we've ever had in this country's history. But what really scares me, Dan, you're out in San Diego, is the Chinese nationals, 4,000 a month, coming across the border, setting up these grow operations, operating with impunity. And look what that House China Select Committee just came out with, that the CCP strategically and economically benefits from this fentanyl crisis. They're subsidizing the manufacturing and export of these illicit, fentanyl analogs and precursor chemicals. It doesn't get any clearer. We've been saying this for many years, but like you said, people aren't paying attention. So Chris Wray tells the world that China's the biggest national security threat to our country, but yet we're facilitating their entry into America.
I know. It makes, again, I think it, like Trump always says, it's a little of both, right? There is incompetency in the Biden regime, and then there's deliberate acts. And I feel like you have people in the FBI, our intelligence community, obviously the Biden regime in the White House, all of them that are doing a little of both, right? I think that initially all this is intentional because they're trying to change the electorate, change the voters, because you got two ways of doing it. You bring them all in, and a lot of them are getting Social Security cards. They're going to find a way to vote. They're going to slip through the cracks and vote. And then it's going to be hard as hell, just like we had in 2020, to go back and go, that's not a real voter. And then we got to prove it, blah, blah, blah. And then when they do the census again in 2026, when it comes around, if you got 12 million more people spread out in how many states, you're going to change how many members of Congress you have that are Democrat versus Republican, because certain states will get more seats then because they'll have a bigger population. So we know it was intentional. But I don't know that all of them thought this much chaos would come with it. And I think that's where some of the incompetence comes as well. And I'm trying to give some of these dirtbags the benefit of the doubt, which I probably shouldn't, as I see what's happening to our beloved country. I mean, let's be real here, Derek. There are so many negatives that come with the wide open border. You're obviously former DEA, so you're all about the drugs. But we've got the human trafficking and the weapons and the crime and the murders. I mean, there's so much. Oh, wait. And I forgot about the cost to you, me, and all these wonderful viewers that pay taxes. What about the cost, Derek? This is going to cost us billions.
Yes, and that's why I say it impacts everyone. I mean, look at little stories like last week. In 4 days in Everett, Washington, there were 3 babies poisoned. 1 died. So people don't realize it's killing innocent little infants. This one that died was 13 months old. The other 2 were 6 months and I believe 11 months. But this is happening across the country. 9,000 a month dead from drugs. And the drugs are coming from out of the country. But Dan, the other thing too, I know we've talked about it, but I like stressing it. China right now is in a new phase of the bombing campaign with the xylazine, the nitazines, the edonitazines, isonitazines. These are coming on the website sales again. Very cheap synthetic opioids, and the horse tranquilizer, Trank, which now DEA says is being found in over 30% of all the fentanyl samples in America. But let's talk about what Trank's doing. It's causing necrosis, the rotting of human tissue. So American citizens are rotting in the streets to death, but yet citizens are okay with that. I can't understand it, Dan, for the life of me. This is bugging me so bad. Right out of the same labs that the fentanyl started in 2012. It's insanity.
It is. Border 911, I want to end back on that and what you, Tom, and these other great patriots that have formed this board are going to be doing. You said you're crisscrossing the country. There's going to be like events, speeches. I know lots of social media awareness and press releases. Anything else you can fill us in on as far as what Border 911 will be doing over the next 6.5, 7 months leading up to the election to try and inform the American people about truly how bad this invasion is?
Right. I mean, the number one goal is just educate, inform everyone on the facts, putting out put the politics aside, because these are national security, public health matters that impact all Americans. And like you said before, the cost of what's going on right now, we're going to be feeling for the rest of our lifetimes. And the kids, the grandkids, the nephews, the nieces, they have a tough future ahead of them. But now the Chinese are killing off our future generation. So we're in bad shape. But Border 911 is going to do their part, whatever we have to do to make sure people get the facts. Website, border911.com. You can read about what we're doing. You can see where we're going. I appreciate you bringing it up, Dan.
Of course. Well, look, I always call Tom the pit bull of the border, because Tom Homan, let me tell you, that guy, he's worked for what, the past 4 or 5 presidents. He's been down on that border for decades, just like you've been trying to get drugs off the streets for decades, and putting you and the other board members together to really hit this home for people, I think is a great plan, because nobody can say that the people that are making up this nonprofit to inform all American people, this isn't political, nobody can say you guys are doing it for the wrong reasons. You all have served your country bravely, and now you're out there serving it again by informing them. So God bless you, Derek.
Hey, Dan, one last thing. I want to show you something.
Sure.
This was given to me 7 years ago. That's what happens when terrorists and criminals come together. That was given to me by the commander of Southcom, U.S. military, 2007, as Hezbollah was coming in to the Western Hemisphere. So every American, pay close attention. This is coming to our cities.
Yeah, it is. We've got terrorists here. We got the drugs. We got the traffickers. I mean, you can't have 10 to 12 million people unchecked, unvetted, and expect it to all be peace around the campfire, kumbaya. It's not going to happen, folks. So watch your 6 and vote the right way come November. Derek Maltz, as always, thank you, brother. Take care.
Thank you, Dan. Take care.
Yep.